When did you last hear a child say please or thank you? I'll wait. A recent study shows that 3/4 of Americans believe manners and behavior have declined over the last 2 decades. If children copy what we do, it's not surprising that good manners among children have also taken a dip. Vivian King, an award-winning author and former television journalist, addresses the issue of inspiring children to be polite in her first children's book, Grace Welcomes the Lady Next Door. Vivian, welcome back to Black Nouveau.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
So what inspired you to write a children's book?
Well, my pet peeve, rude behavior. And it just drives me crazy. And so this came from one day I was at Jazz in the Park in Milwaukee with a friend. I wasn't on TV at that point. I had moved on to my next job. And someone said, "Oh, you're the woman on TV." And I know we have tons of channels and not everybody watched me. And I said, "Well, no, I was a woman on TV." And the guy said, "Oh, well, when you were on TV, you looked 500 pounds. And then I thought, okay, Vivian, do not say anything because what you really want to say is not very kind.
Right.
And I said, "You must have me mixed up with someone." And as my friend and I were walking to the car, I said, "People are so rude. I want to write a musical about it." And I started singing this song, and at the time we got to the car, she said, "Did you just make that up?" And I said, "Yes, I made that up." And she said, "It was kind of good." And so I was telling a friend of mine who's an attorney about my idea for this musical, and he said, "Well, you should write a children's book because the main character in the musical is a little girl." Mm-hmm. And I said, "That's a great idea." And so I have journals of rude behavior that I have seen on TV, that I've seen in person. And I decided to write this book, Grace Welcomes the Lady Next Door.
So Grace, the main character in the book, lives in Georgia and she moves to Michigan. Are you suggesting that people in the South have better manners than people in the North?
I'm not really suggesting that, no. Okay. However, there is a Southern hospitality, and I will say I'm from the Midwest. My first job in television was in Alexandria, Louisiana. Then I was in Tyler, Texas, then Battle Creek, Michigan, and then Milwaukee. And it just seems like people in the South, Southern hospitality is that's their marker. They say we have Southern hospitality. That doesn't mean that people in the North don't, but yes, Grace moves to Michigan, but they move like in the winter. And so, she says in her book, we didn't get the same welcome. Well, it was cold. And so there are a lot of different reasons why people may not have welcomed her in this book in the winter. But no, I'm not. Okay. I have friends all over the place. I have family all over the place, and we're all nice.
What do you want children to get out of this book?
I want them to get out of the book that being kind matters. And that being kind, my grandmother used to say, you get more bees with honey. And so if you are kind to people, they will be kind to you most of the time. There may be some exceptions to every rule. But when you're kind, you can have a nice conversation. You can disagree with someone, but you don't have to be mean about it. You don't have to call somebody a name. You don't have to yell. You don't have to raise your voice. You can be very nice and kind and mannerly and still get your point across.
Let's talk about the illustration in the book. The illustrations are fantastic. Tell us about the artist.
The artist is David L. Anderson. He grew up here in Milwaukee, and he started drawing when he was 5. And he always says he's God-inspired. He's never taken an art lesson. He just has been inspired and will draw. And I just loved his artwork. And I found his artwork at I bought it someplace. I bought this really cool picture of a little girl. It was a black and white sketch, and she was blowing a bubble, and the bubble was in pink. And I happened to walk past that when I was thinking about illustrators, and I had already interviewed one illustrator who did a nice job, but it just wasn't what I wanted. And then I saw his picture and I said, I have to find David. So I Googled him because I hadn't talked to him in years. And I Googled him, found his website, sent him an inbox in his website, and he called me back 10 minutes later. And he said, of course I remember you. I would love to help you with your project. So he has agreed, well, he agreed to do this one, and so he's going to work on the next one as well.
Tell us quickly, why do you think manners have taken a dip in society?
You know, I think a lot of it comes to like transition. You know, years ago, families used to live right by each other. And so they would learn manners from each other. Now they're like away from each other. You know, we live in a transitional society. You know, grandma may be one place, parents may be another place. There are parents who are younger and younger, and maybe they did not get that when they were growing up. And so I think slowly all of those different things that have happened in the world, they chip away at a society that is mannerly.
Real quick, how can we get a copy of the book?
Well, you can go to vivianlking.com, and I have links to Amazon or Barnes & Noble. Boswell Books also has the book, and you can get them hopefully anywhere books are sold.
Great. Well, thanks a lot, Vivian. Appreciate it.
Thank you.